Over the years of riding, I have heard so many people state horsepower and weight numbers of their motorcycles, say it with such conviction like they know, and they've never measured either one of these things. And the level of BS I've heard is just out of control. You know how many people I've met that own a WR450 that makes 60 horsepower? Or how many DRZ owners I've met with under a 300-pound bike? To me, it's just as goofy as the guy on that 600 telling you how he busted over 200 running from the police. So in today's video, we're gonna actually weigh these two motorcycles and find out for real what they weigh. I just filled the tanks up on both of them. So we're gonna get true wet weight, full tank, and see where we're at. And I'm gonna test a couple methods on how to actually weigh a motorcycle, since apparently the way I've been doing it is wrong, at least according to some of y'all. You see, whenever I wanted to weigh a motorcycle personally, I just go grab the old bathroom scale. This little simple $20 bathroom scale right here is good to 375 pounds. Tire on one wheel, little block on the other to kind of get them at the same level. Flip them around, add the two numbers together, and you'd have the weight. That should work. So you out there on the internet keep telling me I'm wrong and you can't weigh a motorcycle like that. The thing that I keep having people tell me is that you'd be weighing the bike twice. What? Maybe I'm insane, but I think that's complete BS. I don't see how that would make any sense, but that's what people like to tell me. So I bought something. A 660-pound scale that can go right under the center of our motorcycles. Fortunately, both of my motorcycles can actually be jacked up from the center. I've got skid plates on both of them. So we're gonna check it with that. Then we're gonna check it to see how actually accurate that is, testing on the front wheel, the rear wheel, with both sets of scales. We're gonna get some real numbers here. So hopefully at the end of this, we'll not only know what these motorcycles weigh, but hopefully you will know how to weigh your own motorcycle. Personally, I predict that the bathroom scale may not be quite as accurate, assuming our main new scale is accurate. That's a big if. I'm gonna say this now, if we're within like 2 or 3%, I think that's gonna be within reason, right? That's the game plan today. All right, first thing to do, let's unbox our new scale here. Oh, look at this thing. It's got a fancy little reader here. My kids just came out here and told me that they wanted peanut butter honey tortillas. And I told them, sure. I believe you can also just put batteries in this. Oh, there we go. You kilograms, ounces, pounds. Okay, that's how you zero it. All right, cool. My thinking here is to take this scale and put it on this platform, jack it up between the two. I think that should work just fine, but just to make for sure here, let's try something here real quick. I'm gonna stand on it right here, okay. All that told me right there is I have a dad bod. I need to lose some weight. Yeah, it's the same thing. I'm more or less getting the same number. I'm gonna try something here. I'm gonna try to stand just right here in the middle. That's gonna be more indicative of what a tire is gonna be like on there. And it doesn't care. It's fine. You know, out of curiosity. Well, that's interesting because right off the bat, there's about a 2-pound difference. This one's reading 2 pounds heavier than this one. There's already that in the equation. We already have to consider there's already a 1% variant in the equation right there. Well, I think we just got to get to it then. Here's my setup. I spent a couple extra minutes with the jack and I got some wood under. Basically with this jack, the higher up you go, the more kind of goofy and balanced it gets because the scissor effect in it gets shorter. I think we'll be all right though. You know, I weighed this thing before I did all the adventure mods when it was just in sort of street bike mode, and it weighed 380 pounds according to the scale I went to, but that was like a big industrial scale that's really not designed for stuff like this. It goes in 20-pound increments, so it's hard to say. People think we've added 1,000,000 pounds to it by putting this stuff on. I definitely expect it to be back over 400 pounds now. Front wheel's in the air. That one's off the ground. The front one's off the ground. We're at 435.3. All right. That's not bad. Let me write that down real quick. My roto packs right now are not full. Those are completely empty. It's a gallon of water and a gallon of fuel if you want to consider those. Let me know if you want me to. I'll weigh it when I set it up for a trip. You take a T7, put cages on it, roto packs, auxiliary lights. That would be an accurate comparison. So let's take our heavy duty scale now and actually weigh the front wheels and the rear wheels. Put some blocks under it to even everything out and give that a shot. I've got 2 pieces of plywood with a little bit of a ramp set up here because 2 pieces of plywood is basically the exact level of this scale. I've got a similar setup on the rear here. So this will do 2 things for me. One is I roll up onto this scale. I'm not just biting the tire directly into this. I'm kind of rolling onto it from an even angle. So I think that's better for the scale. And secondly, we're raising the rear the exact amount that the front is raised. So that should hypothetically do something. I don't know. So we'll check it that way, then we'll flip this around and we'll check it from the other end. Now the only tricky thing with doing it this way, of course, is when I bring it up, I gotta hold the bike very steady. Trying to like barely touch it right now. Okay, let's back down. All right, now let's swap out that scale for the bathroom scale and repeat the same test. Normal bathroom scale is basically dead even with just a normal piece of ply. All right. That's funny. Where I'm trying to get again where I just get one finger balancing it. And now finally, let's take our bathroom scale without boards on the opposite wheel to balance it and see what we end up with. We done all our stuff here and we got some results. With our center scale, we are 435 pounds. Front and rear on the HD scales, 205, 232 on the rear for 437 pounds. So a little bit more. Bathroom scales, front and rear, 206 to 233, a pound heavier on each. And this is actually kind of funny because this is how off I was when I weighed myself versus the HD scale was 2 pounds off. So we ended up at 439. And bathroom scales unbalanced, 206, same thing, and 234, just one up for a total of 440. So the difference between the top one and the bottom one is only 5 pounds, which means that our normal HD scales, just front rear, gave us a 99.5% accuracy. Bathroom scales front rear gave us 99% accuracy, and bathroom scale unbalanced, probably the worst scenario we were thinking, is still 98.8% correct. And that's also just assuming that our center weight is correct. It may not be. So it seems as though I wasted my money buying this scale, but it should shut you all up who've had opinionated opinions. Also, there is something cool I can do with this now. I could weigh like Chris's Africa Twin fully loaded with my HD scale, weighing the front wheels and the rear wheel, because that bike may actually still be too heavy in total for my scale. In fact, it might be something I might do. I might take that thing with me. You know, I got this big adventure meet coming up real soon with the Get On ADV Fest. Maybe it'd be kind of fun to see what some people's bikes actually weigh. This has been fun. All right, let's do the 300. Everyone always wants to remember the weight they take off the bike, right? I removed this random bracket, I put an exhaust on it. People say the craziest thing about exhaust. I've heard people be like, exhaust takes 20 pounds off a motorcycle. Who told you that? Yeah, we've definitely taken a lot of weight off this bike, but I've also put all kinds of weight back on it. Skid plates, side covers. I bet the powder coat added weight, let's be honest. It's definitely a lot thicker than that little paint that was on there. The graphics are probably even thicker. I know this is minor, but something to think about. We put an extra spring in the front fork. I think this was supposed to be 312 because this was an ABS model. Off the ground, off the ground. What do you think? Do you think we lost weight? Do you think we gained weight? Well, according to this, we're at 314 pounds, 142 kilograms. And what do you know, that's like, what, 3-4 pounds heavier than it's supposed to be in stock weight. We are holding extra fuel in the tank, although I will say this plastic tank I do think offsets most of that weight. Remember, we got a Baja Designs headlight on the front. That spring in this fork, I bet you is most of it too. If you didn't have that spring in there, it'd probably be under factory weight. That spring was like at least 6-7 pounds, I bet. This is also with the Supermoto wheels on, which are even a little lighter, but things like this cage definitely weigh something. So, you know, accumulatively, we always have to remember to add everything up. Even this seat technically weighs stock because we put a much bigger cover on it. So, but what does this all actually mean? Well, it means if you want to weigh your motorcycle and you own a scale that you're pretty confident, like a bathroom scale that can handle at least half the weight of it, then you should be fine. If not, and you need a heavier scale, I'll put a link to the one I use in the description. If you use that link, it will, of course, give me a little kickback because it's an affiliate thing. But if you find it cheaper, a better one for cheaper, whatever, go with that one. Don't feel like you have to do that. That's really good to know. I mean, you can basically do that with enough accuracy, even a little bathroom scale. I think it's all within reason. I mean, also, every time we were off, it was off in a heavier sense. So you could do your bathroom scale one and then just knock off 1% or so. I don't know if I can set this light off. Where's the thing, the rev over it? Maybe you can get a inductive current or something going on there. Is this guy coming up? Yeah. Side of things, so doesn't mean that all our efforts to make this thing cool and badass have been useless. Oh my god, it's like 2 or 3 pounds heavier than it was stock. Oh, why the orange man in the sky? I can't, it's like hard not to look at you. This is terrible. Right, we're gonna go a different way. We're gonna turn right up here. Is it worth chasing losing this weight for all the money and effort we've put into it. Well, again, you gotta remember, if we didn't, you know, lose any weight and only gain the weight on from things that we've added, well, it'd be even heavier, right? But I think the bigger thing there is, does this actually make any difference? Is trying to save weight off your bike, is it worth it, and it doesn't matter? Weight is, of course, important. It always is. Going for a lighter motorcycle is super fun. Like my WR450, which I weighed using the bathroom scale, and I had a 3-gallon tank on it. That full of fuel, 200 and I think 85, 86 pounds. Nothing, you'll obviously notice it between this and that. But there's other things that I think are even more sort of critical, matter more. And a big one of those is things like weight distribution, how the bike feels. This bike is a particularly lightweight feeling motorcycle, but it's not like you're gonna pull enough weight out of one of these to like get to something like WR450 light or, you know, Enduro bike light. This bike is heavier for a number of reasons. A lot of that weight has to do with the fact that this bike can go much longer on oil changes and maintenance intervals. It's a reliable, easy to start bike, and of course, it's affordable. That's probably one of the biggest reasons it's the weight it is. I would look at it like this, like if you're doing mods to your bike and they happen to save you some weight in the process, awesome, go for it. But if you're just going out of your way, like we gotta save the most weight we can, unless you have some very specific reason you think you need to do that, I think this is kind of a fool's errand, and you're not gonna get that much lighter. The suspension and supermoto wheels made the biggest difference to this bike than anything else we've done as far as how the bike feels and handles. The person not modifying their bike, the person watching, is always very critical. I think you should always keep that in mind. The other person looking at what you've done and all the money you've spent trying to justify it and say, well, you could have just done this, you could have just done that. But that was almost always looking at things through a very narrow point of view. This bike is miles better than what it was when I got it. I love this thing. Now, this is quickly becoming one of my favorite motorcycles I've owned, which I'm shocked. I didn't really expect that with this thing. The goal here was just to make it a Swiss Army bike and make it, you know, be able to do a number of things mediocrely, you know, or reliably. The result has been better than I thought it would be. At the end of the day, what works for you, right? It's a cool little car. There's plenty of people that the money, if they're going to plan to put into it and they're trying to get out of this thing, maybe they very much should consider something like a CRF300L or a D or a Z or whatever, you know? One of these is not necessarily better than the other. Better is never the right word, right? Better now. Different attributes. It's just like anything, like a character in a game. It's got strengths in one place and weaknesses in the other. This is a very even character. Anyways, go weigh your bike. Tell me what yours weighs. And be sure to check out Patreon to get these videos earlier, ad-free, and jump into the Discord and chat with us in there. Just $1 a month. Also, y'all like my gear I'm wearing? This is literally all Revzilla exclusive brand. I think Sedici, Reacts, the shoes, like everything I'm wearing. So my discount code works for all the stuff. Look for this in the description. I think it's really nice stuff, and I'm gonna do a video on it here real soon, you know? This is actually all mesh. This is nice, and I think I'll look okay. What do you guys think? Anyway, see you guys next video.